towards the end of a long day here. Pasture is fully subsoiled, and I got most everything out, and now we have our plow on, and I'm probably going to at least get part of this done tonight. So this is an old creature. I did get a pretty good price on it. I felt like it's right now just one of the many things. These discs will turn, but the grease zerks will not accept any grease. It's just they're rusted out. So a lot of repairs that could be done on this. Very simple to operate this guy. Hard to get on a smaller tractor like mine, but it's on now. And this lever here just turns these. Let's see if I can do this here. Can't move this thing without having it be on the ground, but see, I pull that lever down and these things turn, and that's just how aggressive you're going to be with your plowing. I'm going to set it kind of right in the middle and see how my tractor does. I mean, it has been subsoiled, but there is still roots out there, I know it. So these won't be nearly as deep, but they still will get down there a little ways. Let me show you this. So here's the culprit right here. This guy is able to swing too freely, and it was hitting that tire. You can see that's way beyond the intended range of motion. And here is what you're looking at. So that centerpiece right there is cracked and it's no longer holding. This is only supposed to be able to move back and forth within this space. Let me show you this one that's still the way it's supposed to be. See? That little limiter right there is supposed to hold it right where you want it. That one's broken. So I'm gonna have to take that piece off, and when we get around to doing this maintenance, and weld it. But here's what it did. That right there could be worse. It's not that it didn't destroy the tire, but definitely ripped that thing, sliced right in.
Kind of hard to do, buddy. Let me take my video, then I'll come up and sit with you. That, and then you you hold it. Nope, no, it's you're good. You're going. You're going. Now you hold it. Don't drop the phone. Thank you.
Now I can't.
Hold it up like this. The long-suffering Clark, the patient older brother. Yes, Damien.
See? They're little tiny numbers. I think they will. Try from up the street. As this tractor. Because I like that minty.
There you go.
Picture of the flowers.
Aren't they pretty?
But where's the tractor next to the flowers? There we go. We got a picture. Is he coming back?
I got a picture of Daddy.
And he's got a big root. He's got a big root. He knows.
He did get a big root, didn't he?
So you may have noticed just from the sound and the look of the tractor that this is not my tractor. That would be correct. This is in point of fact my dad's tractor, and I am over at his place. I'm going to be borrowing several of his implements. So disc and seed or fert spreader, and I'm going to be just using those for the summer probably. Try and clear through the forest and get all that brushing done, and then have it ready in the fall for seed for the rest of it, whatever I don't get seeded this spring, which is going to be the whole 2/3 on the far side. And then, you know, these will be coming back, and when I'm done with them, I'm going to try and have them, you know, greased, de-rusted, cleaned up, and, you know, ready for him to use whenever he needs to. I got this beast on, and cannot find any grease spots on this, so hopefully it's not locked up and just cuts like butter. Hi, girls. So we've made some big progress out here. It was supposed to be 2 weeks of sun that turned into not 2 weeks of sun. And so this hasn't dried out like I'd wanted it to dry out. You can see that, you know, there's some glassing on some of the dirt and just a lot more damp than I was hoping for. But there are some spots that are dry. You can see this is almost powdered. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna try and get any of these chunks of root out of the way, these longer chunks of root. And just toss them to the side for now, put them up against, you know, one of the trees or something. And then I'm gonna try and get in here and see if I can't work on this a little bit more today. I don't know if it's gonna be able to do anything down here through this run here where it's much wetter. That over there has some spots that are a little bit wet too, but the lower portion over, you know, into there and through here, for sure we'll be able to run it. So a couple things I've learned about this machine. The first is that I think I need to put this up here and that down there. And what that will hopefully do is, this is riding too low compared to the back end here. The back is up high and it's barely contacting. And the second is, I think I'm too aggressive for a first run through with these angles. I think that this front one is about right, maybe lighten it up a little bit. And then the back one is probably too aggressive. So there's a little crank on this. I don't know why these chains are on here. They're on there before I borrowed this from my dad. I don't know if there's a reason for it, but they're kind of in the way here. There, I can turn this. You'll see this whole assembly just slides back on that threaded screw. All right, so I think this is a lucky guess. I think these are 7/8. I brought some little rust releasing 3-in-1. It's fast acting. Could be in a lot worse shape than it is, which is nice, but it's in reasonably good shape. The threads are fine. You know, I didn't think that through too great. I don't know that I can do this. Hole there is right size for the bolt here, but it's not the right size for the 3-point. You know, it might be that this is just too short. I don't know how much more I have on this thing, but it's starting to, you know, starting to move a little bit within the threads. So I don't think I have that much more thread I can let out. Well, that might be fine.
When we started looking for a new farm to downsize and change our work and financial situation 2.5 years ago, we saw this listing and looked over it. 5 acres was the minimum I thought I could do anything with, and I was hoping for at least 10. The listing went off the market, but then it came back later, and the second time I saw it, the soil classification caught my attention, and I gave it a closer look. Santiam Silt Loam. I spent a lot of time by then in the soil survey looking at soil types, so I recognized that. Classified as 2E, farmland of statewide importance on slopes, but otherwise prime farmland. It had a moderately well-drained soil with good depth in the soil to what they call a restrictive feature, important for fruit trees. I looked up a more detailed description of the soil and I got excited. It said, the Santiam soils are used principally for small grains, grass seed, orchards, Christmas trees, pasture, vegetables, berries, and woodland. Then I looked up the well logs for the area and got really excited. All of them had great production volume at around 160 to 200 feet down. When we saw the place for the first time, I was convinced this was going to be a great place for our farm. I would just have to work my tail off to transform it.
Third morning. Looking at rain tonight. and probably some drips and rain the rest of the next 10 days or so, at least 8. Never know. This is what we're working with. I am going to try and get a little more tillage done right here in this spot. I'm not going to bother to remove this pile. That little flag there is the corner for a potential greenhouse, kind of down to there. Got the next flag, and then it's going to be kind of, over to here. And so this morning, the project, before we can put the seed in, I want to go around and till some more. We've got a little bit of sun. It's not going to get as dry as I had hoped, but you can see at least a lot of areas like that. And then that area out in there, I did not get as much of depth on the plow as I'd wanted, and so it's just not tilling everything in as much as I'd hoped. So we're going to run a plow through there again. And I will say that the branches, the majority of them came out just fine, and they snapped the way I was hoping they would snap, and they're tilling in. But I just didn't get the depth I needed in that area, I don't think. So we're going to try and plow that. And I did do some work on the plow. It's not fixed. Let me show you what exactly I did and what still needs done. So this is the culprit from before, and I've pulled him forward and straightened him out. See how this other one, the leg goes mostly forward, and when we're all done, I'll pull that straight, same as this one. So the tightener, I got that tightened up really good. Pull it forward, tighten it up. That's a project that I'm gonna have to try and track down, someone to work that for me, make a new piece if I can't figure out what this machine is, and just order the part. Only thing left to do for right now is I want to slightly increase the distance here and, force that back plow to get a little bit more action versus just the front. So we're all done with the second round. I went ahead and did the whole field pretty much of plowing, and the first time around I'd only been able to get it down on the setting that determines the depth on the 3-point hitch. I'd only been able to get it down to like 3 or 4, even mostly 3 for the field, because there were some spots that were more saturated than others with water, and just a different content in the soil probably. This time around I was able to get it all the way as far down as it would go, pushed to the to the bottom. So I feel good about that, and we're going to go get some more fuel, and when we come back I should be able to get anything I unearth that needs to get out taken care of, and then we'll be able to go ahead and get this disked. And I'm still hoping, given that it is sunshiny right now, that we'll be able to get it seeded today before the rain starts again. That'd be perfect.
Once I'd run around the field with the disc the first time, I decided I needed to do something to help smooth the field out a bit, more than the disc by itself was able to do. I realized I knew what the chain on the back was for, adding on something like a harrow behind the disc. We didn't have a harrow, so we made a janky substitute out of pallet racking and loaded the tray down with some logs. It mostly worked in a pinch. After our first farm, which was all clay and huge rocks, I'm thankful I can even run these implements through here. The disc occasionally gets plugged with a chunk of wet mud, a chunk of root or branch, but otherwise the subsoiler and plow did their job. We used 2-year-old seed, and we didn't smooth it in, but we did nearly double the suggested broadcast rate. We used a mixture of pasture grasses, orchard, fescue, and rye. And when we start our business, this field will be almost entirely removed from grass for wood chip pathways and vegetable beds, so cheap was the order of the day. We'll be more selective when we get to the remainder of the fields, as more of the grass will be permanent in between the orchard rows.
Okay, you want to see the seed? Look on the ground. All those little bitty seeds.
Those are grass seeds.
Yeah. Well, perhaps just in time. We have some dark clouds, but we have got this field done.
Yeah.
We've put down some tarps.
Before it starts to rain.
Yeah, we put in some tarps back behind us down here so that we can have a spot where the seed didn't get, and we can put in a garden. Well, here we are at the end of the day, and it is indeed raining. It's not a heavy rain, which is actually really nice. It's a nice medium, rain where we're probably going to see the seeds nicely watered into the soil. So here we are, taking a look in and checking in on our Paulownia, our timber form. One thing that's very common with these, and we're not in a heavy climate, is that the top from the last year tends to die out, and so this is probably going to be the new top. I think there is a leaf coming in right there, so it's hard to say for sure, but that's my suspicion. You can see where all the leaves were last year, and those were leaves. Those weren't like branches, just full leaves. They're kind of a bamboo-like plant in that regard. They tend to have a hollow, because they grow so fast, they tend to have a hollow stem. Here's the rest of them, all in the pots, leafing out. Not as far along as that one, which has a lot to do simply with that one being planted. These ones will have heavy leaves and they'll grow a little bit, but even in these reasonably large pots, we need to get them in the ground before they get root bound.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button for more, and if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment. It really helps us out a lot. These videos take hours of our time to make, and once we hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will start sharing their revenue with us. See you next time.